Your coworker just told you they don't need Jesus because they're a good person. They donate to charity, they're kind to their neighbors, they've never killed anyone. And honestly, they're right. They are a good person. Way better than a lot of Christians you know. So what do you say? Because if you're like most believers, you just froze. You don't want to sound judgmental. You don't want to imply they're a terrible human being. But you also know something's missing in their understanding. I'm going to give you the exact words to say in this situation, and by the end of this video, you'll know how to navigate this conversation better than 90% of Christians. But first, we need to understand why this objection feels so impossible to answer. Here's what makes this objection so tricky. When someone says they're a good person without Jesus, they're not technically wrong about the first part. They probably are a decent human being by society's standards. They're not out there committing crimes. They treat people with respect. They might even be more moral than some Christians you know, and that's the part that makes this conversation feel like walking through a minefield. Because the moment you suggest that being good isn't enough, you sound like you're saying they're bad. And nobody wants to be the Christian who comes across as self-righteous or judgmental. So we either avoid the conversation entirely or we fumble through some weak response about how we're all sinners and it sounds hollow even to us. But here's what I've learned after having this conversation dozens of times. The problem isn't that we don't have a good answer. The problem is we're answering the wrong question. When someone says they're a good person without Jesus, they're actually making three assumptions. First, they assume that being good is the same as being good enough. Second, they assume they know what the standard is. And third, they assume that morality is the point of Christianity. All three of those assumptions are wrong, but most Christians only address the first one. We jump straight to Romans 3:23. All have sinned and fall short of the glory of God, and we think we've made our case. But to your friend, that just sounds like religious jargon. It doesn't connect with their reality. They're thinking about how they helped their elderly neighbor carry groceries yesterday while you're talking about abstract concepts like sin and glory. The conversation dies right there. So let me show you a better approach, and it starts with actually agreeing with them. Next time someone tells you they're a good person without Jesus, start here. Say this. You're absolutely right. You are a good person. I've seen how you treat people. I've watched you go out of your way to help others. I'm not questioning that at all. Now watch what happens. Their defenses just dropped. Because they were expecting you to argue. They were ready for you to pull out the "you're a sinner" card and make them feel attacked. But you didn't. You validated what's actually true. And now they're listening. Because here's the thing. The gospel isn't about convincing people they're worse than they think they are. It's about showing them that even being good doesn't solve their fundamental problem. And what is that problem? It's not that we're not good enough. It's that we're not dealing with a grading system. This is where most Christians miss it. We talk about sin like it's about racking up bad deeds versus good deeds, and if your bad deeds outnumber your good deeds, you fail. But that's not what the Bible teaches at all. Let me give you an analogy that makes this crystal clear. Imagine you're swimming in the ocean and you need to get to an island that's 100 miles away. Now, I'm a terrible swimmer. I can barely make it 20 yards before I'm exhausted. You might be an Olympic swimmer who can go 5 miles before getting tired. Compared to me, you're amazing. You're so much better at swimming than I am. But here's the question. Does it matter? We both drown. The island is 100 miles away. Neither of us is swimming there no matter how good we are. And that's the point Jesus is making about our relationship with God. It's not that you're not a good swimmer. It's that the destination is impossibly far and we're using the wrong method to get there. Being good is like being a better swimmer. It's nice. It's admirable. But it doesn't solve the actual problem. This is what Paul means in Romans 3 when he says all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. The key word there isn't sinned. It's fall short. We're not measuring up to some arbitrary list of rules. We're falling short of what we were created for. We're falling short of God Himself. Now here's where the conversation gets really interesting, because this is usually when your friend says something like, "Okay, but what's the standard then? If God's the standard, what does that even mean?" And this is your opportunity to shift the entire framework. Because the standard isn't a behavior checklist. The standard is a relationship. Think about it this way. Imagine you have a friend who never calls you, never spends time with you, never thinks about you. But once a year they send you a really nice birthday gift. Are they a good friend? No, because friendship isn't about checking boxes. It's about relationship. It's about connection. It's about actually knowing the person. And that's what God created us for. Not to follow rules. Not to be morally impressive. But to know Him. To walk with Him. To be in relationship with Him. And here's the problem. Sin isn't just about doing bad things. Sin is about separation from God. It's about trying to live life independent of our Creator. You can be the nicest, most moral, most generous person on the planet and still be completely cut off from the purpose you were made for. This is where you can bring in your own story. I usually say something like, "Look, I get it. Before I understood this, I thought Christianity was about behavior modification. I thought it was about trying harder to be good and feeling guilty when I messed up. But then I realized I had completely missed the point. Jesus didn't come to make bad people good. He came to make dead people alive. He came to restore that broken relationship between us and God. And the reason we need Jesus isn't because we're not trying hard enough. It's because the gap between us and God can't be crossed by our effort. That's what grace means. It means God does what we can't do for ourselves." Your friend might push back here. They might say, "But why do I need a relationship with God? I'm doing fine without one." And this is where you get to ask some really good questions. Questions like, have you ever felt like there's something missing even when everything's going well? Have you ever wondered what the point of all this is? Have you ever laid awake at night thinking about what happens after you die? Because here's what I found. People who say they're fine without God usually have moments where they're not fine. They have moments where the good life they've built feels empty. Where their achievements feel hollow. Where they're terrified of death because they have no idea what's on the other side. Christianity isn't offering you a self-improvement program. It's offering you reconciliation with the God who made you. It's offering you purpose that goes beyond just being a decent person. It's offering you hope that transcends this life. And the reason you need Jesus for that isn't because God's some angry tyrant demanding payment. It's because Jesus is the bridge. He's the one who took on the consequences of our separation from God so we could be brought back into relationship with Him. Think about it like this. If you owed someone a debt you could never repay, and someone else paid it for you, you'd need to accept that payment. You can't pay the debt yourself because you don't have the resources. And that's what Jesus did. He paid the price of our separation from God. Not because we're terrible people, but because we're separated people. And all the good deeds in the world don't change that separation. Now here's the part where this conversation usually gets emotional, and that's okay. Because what you're really telling your friend is this. You are a good person. But good isn't the goal. The goal is relationship with God. The goal is becoming who you were created to be. And you can't do that on your own. None of us can. That's not an insult. That's just reality. It's like saying you can't fly by flapping your arms. You're not a bad person because you can't fly. You're just human. You need help. You need a savior. Not because you're worse than everyone else, but because we all need him. The ground is level at the foot of the cross. It doesn't matter if you're a really good swimmer or a terrible swimmer. We all need the boat. And Jesus is the boat. Here's what I want you to do after this conversation. Don't pressure them for a decision. Don't make them feel like they have to pray a prayer right now or they're doomed. Instead, leave them with this thought. Ask them to consider what it would mean to know God personally. Not just to believe in God intellectually, but to actually have a relationship with him. To experience forgiveness, purpose, and hope that goes beyond just being moral. Tell them you'd love to talk more about it whenever they're ready. And then pray for them. Because here's the truth. You're not responsible for converting anyone. You're responsible for faithfully sharing what you know to be true. The Holy Spirit does the convicting and converting. Your job is just to be clear, be kind, and be available. And if you follow the approach I just gave you, you'll be way ahead of most Christians who either avoid this conversation entirely or handle it in a way that pushes people away instead of inviting them in. So let me give you the quick framework one more time so you can remember it. Step 1. Agree with them. Validate that they are indeed a good person. Step 2. Reframe the question. Help them see that being good and being good enough are two different things. Step 3. Shift from behavior to relationship. Show them that Christianity isn't about morality, it's about reconciliation with God. Step 4. Use the swimming analogy or something similar to illustrate why even good people need Jesus. Step 5. Ask questions that help them recognize their own spiritual emptiness or fear. And Step 6. Present Jesus as the bridge, not as a judge. Close with an invitation to keep talking rather than demanding an immediate decision. I promise you, this approach works. I've used it with family members, coworkers, and complete strangers. And while not everyone becomes a Christian on the spot, every single person has walked away thinking differently about what Christianity actually claims. They stop seeing it as this self-righteous religion for people who think they're better than everyone else. They start seeing it as an honest acknowledgement of our human condition and a genuine offer of hope. And that's the first step toward genuine faith. So the next time someone tells you they're a good person without Jesus, don't panic. Don't get defensive. Don't shut down. You now have everything you need to navigate that conversation with confidence and grace. You know how to honor their goodness while pointing them to something greater. You know how to avoid sounding judgmental while still being truthful. And you know how to present the gospel in a way that actually makes sense to people who don't speak Christian. That's huge. Most believers never get there. But you just did. So go have that conversation. And when you do, come back and tell me how it went. Drop a comment below with the objection you face most often when sharing your faith, and I'll make a video addressing that specific situation. Let's equip each other to share the good news effectively, winsomely, and faithfully.